Hello there, and thank you for tuning in again. We are in the third part of this three-part series where in today's video we're going to be covering how you can explore a new Kafka cluster that has been set up in KRaft mode using Kafka 2.8.0. So I thank you for all the feedback you have shared in all the previous videos, and I will use some of that feedback to walk you through what I have to offer and show you today. So as I said earlier, this was a three-part series. In the first part of this series, we covered why this change was made in this current Kafka version, and in the second video we covered how you can set up the Kafka cluster in the cloud using virtual machine scale sets, and we did set up a Kafka cluster using Kafka 2.8 without Zookeeper. And in this particular video we're going to be covering how you can use that particular cluster, some of the new capabilities that have been added in this Kafka version, and how you can use them in case you were not aware of it. So as usual, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Easy Academy. You can also check out my GitHub repository at github.com, and you can visit my website to see some of the things I have to offer. So that's all I have for the social media content, and the outline of today's video is going to be that we're going to first get into the Kafka cluster, then we're going to check out some of the scripts that have been added, the Kafka cluster, the storage script, and the metadata-shell script that has been added. So these were introduced in this Kafka version. Then we're going to create a topic, publish to those topics, and then show you some of the use cases using the console, then consume from those topics, and then we're going to take a look at the cluster again once topics have been created. And I will talk about some bonus content coming up in the future based on some of your feedback that you shared with me earlier in the comment section. So again, if there's something that you would like to see in a future video, or you have questions about this particular video, you can put it in the comment section and I will be very happy to take a look at it. And if it's something that I can do, I will create the content and I will share it in a future video. So thanks again for all your feedback. So that's the outline for today's content. Now let's take a look at what we have for today. So to do this, I'm going to take a look at the cluster. I have a script here that allows me to check to see all the different sockets that are running on the server, and I would like us to go to the machine that has both a controller running as well as a broker. So that is this machine here, and I'm going to copy this IP address, and then we're going to do SSH KRaft demo, which is the username, and then we are going to use the keys, the public key. All right, let me go to a different screen because I want to leave this one as is. All right, so on my regular machine I can do this. With the IP address, and then we're going to get into that particular machine using the public key. All right, so now we're about to log into this machine. The first thing I would like us to do is for us to take a look at some of the scripts that were added in 2.8. So to do that, I'm going to take you to the browser where we take a look at the 2.7 list of scripts, and then some of the ones that I want to highlight is the cluster.sh script that allows you to explore the cluster, and then we have another one called metadata-shell, which allows you to explore the metadata on the cluster, and there's another one called storage, which allows you to take a look at how the storage has been formatted, as well as actually formatting the directories on the cluster. So I have some steps that I would like to explore. So the first one is that once we get into the cluster, the particular node number 5, we're going to run this script to see what happens when we do that. All right, so we are in that particular directory, and then we're going to run the cluster.sh script. Now, what does this do? This particular cluster allows you to specify the bootstrap server, and then you can check to see what the cluster ID is. So if we run this cluster command, it shows us what the cluster ID is. So this is just used for exploration of the cluster. If you type in the help command, it will show you some of the offerings that are available. So you can use this to remove a broker from the cluster by specifying the unregister command. You can also use the cluster ID to see what the cluster ID of the cluster is. All right, so that's the first command. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the log directories command. So this is actually something that was available in the previous Kafka version. If we look at Kafka 2.8.0, it's available, but it's just something that you can use to explore the cluster also. So if you describe this without specifying a specific broker, it shows you all the log directories that are available for each broker and where they are specified in the cluster. So that's one thing you can use. Now, if you go to my GitHub repository that I shared in the previous video, and I will put a description, a link to that in the description, you will see this particular script, and you can use this to walk through all the different commands to explore. So first you navigate to the bin folder, and then you can run each of these commands the way I have it here on the screen to explore it. So another one I want to take a look at is for us to use the storage command to see what is available on the cluster. So with this, we can run this storage command, and this is going to show us the different settings that are available. So we have the cluster ID, we have the log directory, and then we see the node ID of this particular node, this broker, and then the version. So that's for what we can do with that particular command. We can also use this command to check out the API versions available for each broker. But the more interesting one is the one for metadata-shell, which I want to use to show you. So if we run this, we specify the path to the metadata logs, and then if we type in help, it shows us all the different commands that are available. But the one that I'm most interested in is going to be the pwd to find the current directory that I'm located, the ls command to list all the different directories that are available, and then the cat command for me to inspect what is inside the particular directory. So this metadata shell allows me to navigate, the metadata. Now let's do an ls to see what we have. So at the very top level, we have brokers, local, and metadata quorum. So if I do a cd into the brokers directory, what am I getting? I'm seeing that I have 3 brokers: broker ID number 2, number 4, and then number 5. So now if I go into the metadata quorum, what do I see? I see leader. Now if I do cat to see the contents of that particular file, it shows me that the current metadata log leader is ID number 5, and we are in the second round, the second epoch. So this metadata command allows you to see, certain things that are available. One thing I want you to pay attention to is that right now, because I have not created any topics in this cluster, I don't have any topics directory in metadata. So we're going to exit here now, and then we're going to go and create a topic and then see what happens after we do that. So remember, right now we have just the brokers, local, and metadata quorum. We don't have anything about topics yet. So let's clear our screen and let's move on to the next command we want to run. So now I have this command. I'm going to go ahead and run the first command here to create a topic called city population. So when I go back to my directory, I run this command, this should create the topic for me. So it has created the particular topic, and the number of partitions is 1, and the replication factor is 1. Remember, in this cluster, we have only 3 brokers. So one thing you have to understand about replication factor is that when the number of replicas you can have in a cluster has to be the same or less than the number of brokers you have. If you have only 3 brokers, you cannot create more than 3 replicas in the cluster. Even if you have 3 brokers but they're not fully functioning, you can only create as many as the number of fully functioning brokers you have in that particular cluster. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to create another topic that has 2 partitions and then has a replication factor of 4. Of 1. Let's see how that one behaves. So we're creating this one right now. Country population, it has 2 partitions and then it has a replication factor of 1. That is still okay. Let's take a look at the next one. In the next one, we are creating 3 partitions and a replication factor of 2. Let's see what happens with this one. So this should still work because the replication factor is less than the number of active brokers that we have. So world capitals is working. The next one we have on the list here is US capitals. So if you take a look at this closely, what I am about to do is that I'm saying that I want to set up 5 partitions. Actually, let me change this to just 3 partitions. But my replication factor is 5. Let's see what we're going to find. Let's see what's going to happen when we actually try to execute this command on the cluster. So 3 partitions, but the replication factor is 5. And what is happening is that this has failed. It says unable to replicate a partition 5 times because there are only 3 usable brokers. So this exited. And if we actually go ahead and do a list of all the topics that we have on the cluster, we're going to see that that particular topic, US capitals, is not one of them on the list. So we should only have 4 topics. Oh, we have only 3 topics. Yeah. So city population, country population, and world capitals was created successfully, but the last one that had a replication factor of 5 was not successfully created because we only had 3 usable brokers. So that's something that you always have to pay attention to when you are exploring. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to describe a topic that actually exists. If I try to describe the other one, it's going to fail because it does not exist. So if I run this particular command, it's going to show me what I have available. So the output here is that we have a partition 0, and for that partition the leader is broker number 2 and the replicas is 2, and then the number of in-sync replicas is 2. We have another partition where the partition leader is on broker number 5 and it has another replica at 5 and then in-sync replica at 5. So this shows us everything we need to know about this particular topic. The topic identifier is given here, and then for world capitals the topic identifier is also given here. Number of partitions is shown, and the number of in-sync replicas for each partition is also shown. So this allows you to see some metadata about the topics. So now that we have this particular topics created, let's go ahead and check again the metadata shell command to see what was going on. So if you take a look at this, now we're going to go back to logging into that. All right, the shell has started. Let's do an ls. In the beginning, we had only 3 directories, but now we have topic IDs and we have topics. So if we do a list of topic IDs, it shows us the different topic IDs. If we do a list of topics, it shows us a list of all the different topics. And then if we do a cut on the topics, so this allows us to explore everything. So one thing I wanted to point out here is that when you are setting up the directories, when you're setting up the topics, it actually creates a new directory inside this metadata shell. But before that, there's only 3 items available for you to explore. So I hope this particular exploration video, allows you to see some of the new capabilities that have been added. If there's something specific else that you would like to see, you can let me know. But this should conclude this particular video. In my bonus content, one of the things I would like to add is how you can set up this KRaft mode cluster using Kafka 2.8.0 using a Docker container, and everything should be happening locally in your environment. So based on some of the feedbacks that I received through the comment section, people would like to see that we can set up this particular cluster without having to use the cloud environment, but just running locally for development and for testing. So if you have any question about any other exploratory concepts or topics, put it in the description. If there's something else you would like to see regarding how to set up the cluster locally, put it in the description. But what I'm going to do in the upcoming video is show you how to use Docker and Docker Compose to run a multi-node cluster using KRaft mode and Kafka 2.8.0 locally in your desktop or laptop without having to go to the cloud environment. And you should be able to do everything we've done in the last 2 videos using your local environment only. Thank you very much for your time, and as usual, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If there's any content you would like to see, you can tweet me or you can put it in the comment description, and I will get back to you as soon as I can by letting you know if I can do it or not. And if you like my channel, please feel free to share it with other people that you think would benefit, and subscribe and click on the notification icon so that when I have new content, I can share it with you and you can get notified as soon as possible. I also have a course that covers all this in details, how you can use Kafka and the different components of the Kafka ecosystem. So if you'd like to learn more about Kafka in that course, please feel free to check it out. It's in the description below, and you can sign up and let me know what you think when you explore the contents of the course. I thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you in the next video.